They doubled the dues at dawn. My Labrador's leash looped in one hand, coffee steaming in the other. I pulled the HOA envelope from my mailbox and slit it with a thumbnail. A single line, cold, surgical, burrowed into my chest. Effective. Next cycle, your assessment increases from $450 to $900. No vote, no forum, not even a lawn sign heads up. Just a casual doubling of tribute, the kind of fiat decree that makes neighbors stomp through the day muttering about pitchforks. The kicker. I'm the anonymous benefactor, funneling more than 90% of their budget through a shell trust they've never heard of. Without my money, the fountains go dry, the gates seize, the heated pool freezes over. They have no idea the person they've blindsided is the one underwriting their kingdom. I walked the cul-de-sac while residents erupted on group chat. Screens buzzed with rage memes and promises of lawsuits. I kept my grin private. Games are sweeter when opponents don't know they're on a board. Back home, I thumbed my Vault app and pulled up Velvet Hammer Holdings, the trust through which I'd been pumping cash into Brookstone Lakes for 16 months. Balance, $2.7 million earmarked for community upkeep, another $420K in discretionary reserves. One click could flash freeze every outgoing payment. I drafted a kill switch letter, revoking funding if the board didn't backtrack, then slid it into a cream envelope sealed with red wax. They would open mine after they opened theirs. Symmetry matters. At 6 sharp, the clubhouse filled like a boiler under pressure. 5 board members perched behind a faux oak dais. Connie Davenport with her realtor's perpetual grin. Stan Yarrow, treasurer, counting imaginary dollars. Jill and Mark Vance, co-secretaries, passing judgments faster than minutes. Larry Holt, landscaping chair, hugging his clipboard like a flotation device. Folding chairs squeaked as neighbors packed in spoiling. For blood, Connie gavelled for order. Brookstone's standards require bold steps, she began, the microphone tremor betraying nerves. Increased costs, rising premiums. A grey-haired veteran near the aisle barked, "Bold steps? You ambushed us with greed." Stan adjusted his glasses. "Let's be civil. Emotions cloud facts." I raised my hand, just another homeowner in faded jeans. "Has Velvet Hammer Holdings approved this?" I asked. Connie's practiced smile cracked. "Velvet Hammer's donations are discretionary." "In that case," I said, "I have a statement from them." I produced the cream envelope, broke the seal and read, "If Brookstone Lakes HOA does not rescind the assessment increase and open all ledgers for independent audit within 72 hours, Velvet Hammer Holdings will terminate all contributions and demand immediate reimbursement of $3 million in accordance with Clause 9B. Gasps. A few phones shot upward to stream. Stan sputtered, You can't threaten us." "I can. I underwrite your entire budget." Jill Vance's pen froze mid-note. Connie, eyes wide, whispered to Mark. He paled. Residents murmured, "Like rising surf. He's the money, $3 million. Audit." The board requested a recess and scuttled into a side room. Through the door's frosted pane, I saw silhouettes gesturing like drowning swimmers. 40 minutes later, they returned. Connie's mascara looked storm-tested. "The assessment increase is hereby suspended," she announced. "We will engage an independent accountant and hold an open Q&A this Saturday." Applause from the crowd, brittle relief from those who'd feared foreclosure. But I wasn't finished. "Financial transparency going forward," I added, "and resident oversight on any expense above $5K. Heads nodded, phones recorded, meeting adjourned. Connie intercepted me by the koi pond outside. Water lights shimmered across her strained smile. "You blindsided us." "You blindsided the neighborhood," I said. "Consider us square." That night, Facebook threads gorged on drama. Madras Dewsgate trended local. I leaned back in my study, satisfied, until a black envelope slid under my door near midnight. Inside, a Polaroid. Connie and Stan slipping an envelope of cash to a scar-faced stranger in a dim steakhouse. On the back, typed in courier, "You're not the only one watching. A friend." The next morning, Brookstone simmered. Stan emailed. A groveling memo promising fiscal virtue. Residents debated whether to dissolve the board. I jogged the lake path, mind racing. If Connie and Stan were laundering HOA funds through side deals, auditors would drag my trust into the cesspool. I needed proof, leverage, and insurance. I called a fixer, Tessa Rourke, forensic accountant turned private investigator. By lunch, she sat in my sunroom flipping the Polaroid. "Classic skim scheme," she said. "Kickbacks on inflated vendor contracts." "Find the money trail," I said. Quietly, she asked my cap. "Whatever it takes." That evening, Connie called an emergency board session, closed door. I attended as observer. They couldn't exclude a primary donor. Tension crackled. Connie spoke first. "Given recent misunderstandings, we'll postpone all new projects." Stan interjected. "Define misunderstandings." "Stan," she hissed, "we got caught." She cut eyes toward me, found my expression unreadable. "Velvet Hammer saved us. We can't risk losing them." Larry Holt cleared his throat. "I have. Mulch invoice is overdue." "Cancel the extra order," Jill snapped. "We're trimming fat." Stan steepled fingers, calculating. "Fine, but assessments must rise eventually." "Not without transparency," I said quietly. Connie nodded hard. Meeting adjourned. On my porch later, I caught the faint scent of cigar smoke. Scarface stood under a street lamp, phone pressed. To ear, I recognized him from the Polaroid. He melted into shadow before I could photograph him. The third player had stepped onto the board. Saturday's open ledger session turned into spectacle. Tessa, disguised as my assistant, flew drone cameras through rows of spreadsheets projected wall size. Residents clustered, pointing at absurd line items: $14 K, decorative concrete; $9 K, consulting; $7 K, hospitality. Connie, sweat under fluorescent lights, claiming every dollar justifiable. A hand shot up. It was Ellis, the veteran. "Who signed the concrete invoice?" Stan said. "That would be Larry." Larry looked startled. Mark Vance mumbled something about vendor bundles. I let pandemonium brew, then motioned Tessa. She tapped her tablet. The screen behind the board flickered, switching to bank transfer screenshots she'd pulled that morning. HOA funds wired to Larkspur Dynamics LLC, then dispersed to personal checking accounts labeled Yarrow Holding and Vance Family Fund. Gasps. Connie's voice trembled. "Where did you get public records?" Tessa lied smoothly. "LLC officers Yarrow, Vance and Davenport." A resident shouted, "Resign!" The chant spread. Jill burst into tears. Mark paled. Stan opened and shut his mouth like a hooked fish. Connie tried the gavel. Useless. I stepped forward. Brookstone Lakes deserves new leadership. Effective immediately, I withdraw all future donations until a provisional board is seated and a forensic audit completed. Meanwhile, Velvet Hammer will cover essential services, directly, not through this board. Chaos erupted. Questions, demands. I left them to it, walking into crisp afternoon sun. The board was dead. Long live the audit. Sunday dawned with subpoenas taped to Connie's door. Tessa's report had traveled to the county DA. Stan lawyered up. Jill and Mark fled to her parents' cabin. Larry vanished. Residents erected temporary committees. I funded a crisis team. But the third player hadn't shown another card until a package arrived on my porch wrapped in butcher paper. Inside, invoices for security cameras Brookstone never installed. Paid in full to Black Swan Ventures. Attached, post-it. They owe interest. Black Swan Ventures traced to the scar-faced man, Alex Shkarov, ex-Baltic Mafia logistics fixer. who'd reinvented as vendor to HOAs hungry for surveillance toys. Connie and Stan must have greased him with HOA money, then stiffed him when Velvet Hammer's donations made cameras unnecessary. Now Shkarov wanted repayment, with interest or intimidation. That night, tire spikes shredded Connie's BMW. Spray paint on her garage. Pay the Swan. She called me crying. They think I still have access to funds. Help me. Return what? You stole, I said. I can't, it's gone. Gambling debts, I guessed, she begged. I hung up. Monday midnight. A fireball rose behind Stan's Tudor. Detached garage engulfed. No injuries, just a message. Fire marshals sniffed accelerant. Neighbors whispered about Eastern European enforcers. The Provisional Committee panicked, voting to hire private security. I vetoed. Escalation invites escalation. Let law enforcement work. But I knew police budgets moved slow. Shkarov wouldn't. I called Tessa. We pay him, she scoffed. Good money after bad? Or we dismantle him first. Your call. She preferred dismantle. We traced Black Swan accounts, found them hollow, shells for laundering. But one anchor surfaced, a commercial building downtown housing an import consultancy. Tessa's hacker partner, Quinn, siphoned internal emails. Shkarov planned to seize HOA assets, freeze accounts through phony liens, then muscle repayment. We needed to cut the head. Tuesday dusk, Tessa and I parked opposite the consultancy. She wore a blazer. I wore anonymity. We posed as city compliance inspectors. Inside, warehouse crates labeled security hardware lay half empty. Shkarov greeted us with bored menace until Tessa flashed a cease and desist order citing unpaid customs duties. His scowl deepened. Legalese rattled him. When he blustered, I placed a velvet envelope on his desk. Cashier's check for $150 K, memo line. Final settlement, he eyed it. That covers cameras, damages, and silence, I said. Plus interest, he growled. Tessa slid another document, a copy of Quinn's dossier linking Black Swan to money laundering. Or we press send. Shkarov's fingers flexed. He weighed. Math and prison. Finally, he pocketed the check, nodded once, dismissed us. We walked out into cool evening, hearts hammering. Game set to audit week arrived. Forensic accountants mapped every theft channel. Residents gasped but found solace in clarity. Connie accepted plea deals, community service. Stan faced felony charges. Jill and Mark cut restitution agreements. Larry remained missing. The Provisional Committee asked me to chair the new board. I declined. Guard your own garden, I said, but offered Velvet Hammer's continued funding under strict controls and full transparency dashboards visible to all. A month later, Brookstone held a block party. The fountain glittered. Children cartwheeled. New bylaws limited any single donor's influence. My anonymity dissolved by choice. I was simply Miles, the neighbor who liked quiet streets and healthy treasuries. At sunset, Connie approached, looking years older. I still don't understand. Why fund us at all? Because when communities thrive, so do the projects beside them. I nodded toward the woodland lot where my ecotech incubator girders rose. And because I could. She studied me. You dismantled us like chess pieces. No, I said, you toppled yourselves. I just removed the velvet from the hammer you swung. She walked away, heels clicking. I watched the sky bruise into purple, the neighborhood returning to hum instead of roar. The third player vanished. Shkarov relocated to Vegas. Velvet hammers. Dashboard ticked transparent green bars. Brookstone learned that money might build walls, but character keeps them standing. As for me, I enjoyed lower dues than ever. Funded mostly by me, yes, but audited line by line. Irony tastes better when served responsibly. And every time a quarterly envelope arrives now, it carries 2 pages. Expenses on one, a resident-elected oversight signature on the other. No surprises, no hidden knives. Just ink, sunlight, and the Quiet knowledge that true power is not the dollar, it's the receipt.